Welcome to the Scoop World Order. Happy Monday. I hope you guys had a great bye-week weekend. Now it is officially game week. Marshall noon kickoff. It's going to be the big nooner. So we get to see a noon game for the first time all season versus the Thundering Herd. I think we'll run through them. They just lost to Virginia Tech, but they'll be feisty. But we've housed them the last few times. We did in the luxurious 2004 season need a last-second Mike Nugent field goal to win, a play that I was actually on. I was on the field goal protection as Nuge kicked a 55-yarder to win. So we've come a long way on offense, needless to say, but it's just exciting for the guys to be back in the shoe and see what they worked on during the bye week. Chip Kelly did a self-scout, and there's going to be a lot of new stuff that's going to be popping up this week, so we can't wait to see it. And we have a ton of Michigan intel that we're going to get to today. But as always, first, we're always very thankful and grateful for you guys. Again, we appreciate all that you guys do with this channel. This is a huge show because you guys make it one. So thank you so much for the explosive growth of Buckeye Scoop. The number one, it's not just the number one Ohio State community, it's the number one college football community at this point. So pat yourselves on the back. We appreciate you guys. The camaraderie is unbelievable. Thank you to our moderators led by the wonderful Kim, my wife, along with Akeem, Devin, Sean Rollins, Sean Schrock. So the S and S, I'll call them, but I appreciate all you guys for holding it down, keeping this thing nice and clean. Appreciate all of our regulars that are on here each and every night, Steely and the crew. Thank you guys for rounding up the natives and getting everybody ready to rock. So thank you guys for that. As always, if you guys enjoy this content, please leave us a like, click subscribe, also click that little alert bell. Again, our audio platform is growing. You guys are heeding the call. Spread the good word. Follow us on Apple Podcasts. Follow us on Spotify. Again, we've never really focused on those. We've always been a video medium focusing on YouTube, but we are trying to grow everything. So if you could follow us on Apple Podcasts and on Spotify, that is absolutely huge for us. It takes about 20 seconds to do. It's completely free. And it's a great way to say thank you if you enjoy the content that Nevadabuck and I bring every night. It's a big help to us. I'm just being honest. We're just trying to make sure that we can expand as much as possible, keep us where we're at, and keep us cranking. So again, I appreciate that so very much. So shout out where you guys are watching from. Shout out who you guys are watching with. We're going to get right to it with Nevadabuck. Nevada, the Michigan Titanic is about to hit the ocean floor. They got smashed by Texas. USC is coming to town. I think that Lincoln Riley is going to have a field day. Now that SC is back to looking like SC again, playing defense, they beat what I think is a good LSU team. I don't think it's an excellent LSU team, but LSU's tough, and I mean USC beat them. And again, I love watching USC when they're good. I think they're going to house Michigan this week. What are your thoughts on that, and what's going on up in Ann Arbor over the last few days?
I mean, a lot. There's a lot going on. I mean, where to start? We can start with they changed quarterbacks, so they've benched Warren, and now they've gone to Alex. I only run the ball and cannot complete a pass more than 5 yards down the field. Orgy. So USC, if you're within the sound of my voice, I'm going to tell you, if Orgy's in there, he's not passing. He's either going to hand off or he's going to run the ball. You do not need to respect his passing. So that's my little pro tip for any USC Trojan fans or USC Trojan defensive coordinators. It's almost like I'm an advanced scout that's got their signals, but with him, every signal is I'm going to keep the ball and run it there, USC. So don't be beat by the quarterback run because all Orgy does is run. So there's that. You've got Sharon Moore. They dropped the Freedom of Information Act, which is really interesting because Sharon Moore signs a contract. And the contract, I believe, was signed on August 4th September 4th or something like that. And man, they got this contract out immediately under the Freedom of Information Act. So, all the sources, USA Today, everybody got the copy of the contract. But all the Freedom of Information Act requests for the notice of allegations haven't been honored by Michigan yet. So it just shows you what a crock this whole thing is. But the contract came out for Sharon Moore, and the notable details are that he cannot be fired for cause for the NCAA violations that have been disclosed already to Michigan for this active NCAA investigation. And you say, wow, that seems like a pretty significant point. And the reality is it was a significant concession from Michigan. Michigan, you have to understand the situation they were in. When this came to light, Michigan started getting blasted, both internally and externally. Externally from recruits, from the media, from the internet, from the fan base, and internally from the board of regents, from donors, from sponsors, from other administrators within Michigan, just completely going hog on Ward Manuel, saying, "What are you doing? You have to get this guy under contract." There couldn't be a more unstable situation than that. So they caved on that concession to Sherrone Moore. So Sherrone Moore could walk with up to 75% of his contract if they fired him for cause as part of this NCAA violation. Now, he would have to mitigate. So, meaning he would have to actively look for another job. And if he got another job, that money would come off of this. So, when you really look at how much money this would really cost, is going to cost Michigan to walk away, I would guess it's probably going to be somewhere in the $10 to $12 million range, but it's all when all the mitigation's done and all the percentages are done and all the negotiations done, which in the big scheme of things for a football program like Michigan's not a lot of money. So Sherrone Moore is a dead man walking. He's a dead man walking for a lot of reasons. One, he's going to be suspended by the NCAA. Two, he's just a really, really bad football coach. And Michigan's knows that they need to go, do better. And I'm going to be really honest. We like to be honest with the audience. It's one of the hallmarks of the show. I really hope they keep Sherrone Moore. I am praying that they keep Sherrone Moore because he's so mediocre, and it's one of those guys that you want to be there for. It's kind of like I felt about Brady Hoke or Rich Rod, or those guys be like, "Oh, these guys are going to be fired." I'm like, please don't fire them, because they might stumble into somebody who's actually competent. Sherrone Moore is incompetent. I mean, he's a perfect example of the Peter principle. He's risen to the level of his own incompetence. I hope they keep him there for 100 years because he's truly a terrible coach. And but sadly, I think the way that this thing set it up is he's probably going to walk away with big prizes and parting gifts. Probably get his 10, 12, $15 million walk away as part of this. But that was a pretty interesting thing. And then lastly, one of the things that there was a thing going around today on one of the Michigan boards talking about, from a fairly credible source, talking about, hey, we want to blame Ohio State for all this stuff and say Ohio State's the one to do this, Ohio State's the one to do this. But the reality is, guys, this came from inside the house. This came from an internal Michigan source. And it's so funny because you and I've we've talked about this on this podcast many, 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 many times. This clearly came from inside. There was the idea that Ohio State would catch wind of something before Michigan and then illegally sneak, like Tom Cruise a la Mission Impossible, like Burt Carton in one of those magnetic suits that we drop you down for the vent, down into the thing, and you hack into the computer and grab the secret files from Connor Stallions and do it. There's just no way. This was obviously an offline computer that was being accessed by university devices, and it was clearly a university source, either administrative, coaching, former coach, whatever, that turned the tables on this thing. This thing did not come from Ryan Day's brother or from Ryan Day or from some Ohio State fan or wearing a ski mask or anything like that. This was clearly an inside job. And the two names that I've heard the most often for this, and I'm going to cloak this as allegedly because I don't know that these are good, but I have heard consistently from really good sources from Michigan side is Josh Gaddis and Mike Hart. And we can discuss the pros and cons. This is kind of like playing Clue and discuss the pros and cons of both those guys. But both those guys make sense for different reasons to me, as guys that could be potentially culpable in this. But it was definitely, it was either that or I know you've got. Do you have a name in your Michigan bingo card of potential suspects that you want to toss in there for discussion purposes?
Well, I mean, a guy that and again, a guy that I'd heard, and again, this is just conjecture and rumor and whatever. But Matt Dudek was a guy he was like their Mark Pantoni. He was like a guy that was kind of indispensable, and again, like when guys just leave randomly at a time that doesn't make sense for I mean, Ole Miss is kind of on the come up, but to me, Ole Miss isn't as good of a job as Michigan, in my opinion. Like if anyone could be head coach, coordinator, recruiting coordinator at Michigan, Michigan is a top tier school. Ole Miss is kind of a now this year Ole Miss would beat Michigan by probably 49 points, but in general they're not the same universe. But that was the guy, because again, I always suspected it was an inside job. It makes too much sense. I've been in Ohio State for 3 years, and there's plenty of people that are inside of a football building that aren't happy with how things are going, or they're on the road. I mean, we literally this year had 2 people leave and go to Michigan from Ohio State. We had Aaron Dunston just leave in the middle of the night. And again, when you're getting a job like director of football operations, like she got, like that's not like a, hey, let's meet at Applebee's and talk about it for an hour, and then we'll offer you or not. Like that's like a month-long hiring process. Like you got to go through initial round of interviews, second round of interviews, HR gets involved, background check. I mean, it's like, to get one of these big university jobs, like there's a lot of steps to it. I mean, even when I was a lowly quality control coach, like I had to go through all that just because, universities do their diligence on people before they bring them in general. So, Tony Alford obviously, skipped town, but I said 1,000 times that the disappearance of Mike Hart has been one of the weirdest things I've ever seen. You go from a guy who was probably making $700,000 last year as the running backs coach, and I don't know if he had some other stupid title, running game coordinator or something like that. And a guy that was a legend at Michigan. I mean, let's just be real. Like he was a 4-year starter, and he lost to me and my teammates 4 times in a row. So congratulations for that, Mike. But you see what the going rate is for a running backs coach. I mean, Tony Alford got $850,000, and he is completely incompetent. Like he has fallen his way up the ladder as good as any coaches I've ever seen. So like if he's worth $850, what's Mike Hart worth? Mike Hart, and again, let's just be objective here. Let's not be haters like we usually are, player haters balling around here. But he coached Blake Corum, who is first team All-American, second or third round pick to the Rams. Donovan Edwards is terrible, but he's on the cover of the game, whatever. So you think that would at least merit him getting a job somewhere? I mean, Jim Harbaugh didn't take him to San Diego, or excuse me, Los Angeles. And obviously he didn't get retained by Sherrone Moore. And I'm sure I would bet every dollar I'll ever make the rest of my life that he was bitter that Sherrone Moore, who is not a Michigan man, was promoted ahead of him. Because he's a guy, he'd been on staff, if not the same amount, maybe a year less, or there might have been an extra year of separation. But like, Mike Hart's a guy that was probably like, I deserve to be the next head coach at Michigan. And in reality, him and Sherrone Moore are both terrible choices, and it's a lot like Deshaun Foster is like, when I saw that they promoted Deshaun Foster to the head coach of UCLA after he'd been coaching there for like 2-3 years. I mean, here's the deal: you guys might think I'm a hater, but I'm usually right when I'm hating on something. You can't promote a running backs coach to head coach. He's never even ran half of the ball. Promoting Ryan Day. Okay, I can get that because he's the offensive coordinator. He had to run the offense. The offense under Ryan was prolific, transformative, whatever you want to use to describe it. But when you've just been a position coach, and especially when you've been like a running backs coach where you've got like 5 guys in your room, then all of a sudden you're responsible for 120 guys and you've never even ran one side of the ball. You have to be and again, Martin Jarman is one of the dumbest human beings I've ever. I've known him. I was on a charity board with him. When he became the athletic director, I wouldn't let him pick the weeds out of my backyard, let alone run an athletic program. So it's right on brand for him to promote a guy like that to be your head coach. And UCLA is my favorite team in all of college football this year because I'm going to bet against them every single week, and I'm going to make a fortune because they're so dysfunctional and they're so bad. I watched that Indiana UCLA game; it was terrible. So again, but Mike Hart's disappearance is just something that. It's inexplicable because there are so many charlatans and morons and untalented folks in coaching that have some sort of an in or something. And for him to just disappear, again, APV out for Mike Hart. He's not in broadcasting, doesn't have a podcast, he's not coaching anywhere. So something's up with him. Like guys don't just disappear from earth. Go from being the running backs coach on a national championship team where, again, his starting running back was first team All-American, I think maybe second round pick to the Rams or third round pick to the Rams. I'll look that up. Blake Corum, and then he just invisible, gone. So again, something stinks up there. And again, I'm not sure what it was, but I mean, and again, it's just when you're trying to figure this stuff out, the thought that Ryan did, because when you're in a football building and there's an operation like this and there's a big drive filled with files and stuff and there's all this other stuff, like no one could figure that out from the outside. It has to be an inside job because you got to know where to look. You got to know who it is. Like there's a lot of stuff that goes on in a football building that people on the outside could never figure out. If you've been in there, you can figure it out. But if you've been on the outside, it'd be exceptionally difficult unless somebody is disenfranchised and wants to get back or get right. And again, that's why I say Jim Harbaugh hates Michigan. It was President Mike Hart hates Michigan because Mike Hart like again the successor syndrome thing that Nevadabuck has talked about. The fact that he didn't get the job, Mike Hart isn't rooting for Sherrone Moore to do good. He wants him to go 2-10 this year, which he probably will. But again, this is just my opinion. Nevada, do you have anything back behind that? Because again, the Mike Hart thing has been one of the weirdest things I've ever seen in my life because I haven't heard anything from him since the national championship game. What are your thoughts?
Well, we've talked about this many times. The Mike Hart thing. It was weird when it's like Jim Harbaugh's handing out tickets to his party, and it's like, okay, you get a ticket and you get a ticket and you get it. Oh, Mike, not so fast there, buddy. We're out of tickets here. And then his whole leaving for Michigan was weird. It was weird at the time. It was weird that he didn't get and now the fact that he's gone into witness protection, a la like Weiss did. Now we know why Weiss is under witness protection. To go from offensive coordinator at Michigan to completely off the grid, you have done something pretty bad. Well, with Mike Hart, that's always been such a weird situation, and that's why with Gaddis. When I heard Gaddis's name, I know that that was a very acrimonious leaving. And if anybody would have an axe to grind with Michigan, it'd be a guy like that. And that would be a pretty interesting one. Now, again, not saying it's either one of these guys. I want to be very clear that we're not accusing either one of these guys of doing this because when we have it, we'll tell you that we have it. We don't have it, but it's really interesting how these two names keep kind of popping up on my side. And like I said, the Mike Hart stuff is just truly, it's truly bizarre because, at least Josh has kind of resurfaced and he's at Maryland and he's doing this and he's doing that. But Mike's not anywhere. And like you said, given the market for coaches right now, competent coaches, incompetent coaches, guys that have played the game before, guys that have never played the game, but whatever, people are in demand. And he is never going to be hotter than having been one of the countable 10 coaches for a national championship team. And then all of a sudden, you just completely disappear off your beloved Jim Harbaugh doesn't take you to San Diego. You're not signing on with Sherrone Moore. You're leaving Michigan, and you're just like completely out of coaching all of a sudden. Those are things that make you go home for sure. And like I said, I'm not sure which one I like better. Whether I like Gaddis more or whether I like Hart more. Gaddis I like more for the timing. It doesn't make sense to me. Hart's timing's a little wonky in terms of this whole thing because as he's blowing the whistle, man. Because when did he leave? Like when was this? I'd have to get on the Google machine and check exactly when he left. But it's definitely a thing. But here's what I'll say with 100% certainty: it was an inside job. The call came from inside. It's like the famous movie, we're chasing the call, and the call's coming from inside the house. Michigan, the call came from inside the house, guys. It wasn't anybody else. It was an inside job. This was definitely a planned assassination from somebody close to you. It wasn't some unknown terrorist. It wasn't Ryan's private investigator brother. It was somebody from Michigan doing the dirty to Michigan for reasons only known to them. Whether it was an administrator that was just trying to save the image of this this program from this rogue football program, or somebody who's disenfranchised either former employee or current employee. It definitely was a Michigan man who did this, and that's what makes this whole scandal even that much more delicious.
Okay, so just to get the timeline straight, Mike Hart, his contract expired March. It was like March, so March 8th. So I mean, that is bizarre because again, it's kind of like guys, if you know your contract, if you're not getting extended like right now, you know that you're done. So his contract was up March 8th. And again, he was the running game coordinator. So he was the running backs coach, running game coordinator. And, again, but I mean, he put Hassan Haskins in the league, Blake Corum. Hassan Haskins, I think, was like kind of a mid-late round, fifth round, sixth roundish type running back for the Titans. He's actually in Los Angeles now with Harbaugh as their number 3 running back behind J.K. Dobbins and Gus Edwards. And then obviously Corum, I think, went second or third round to the Los Angeles Chargers, but it's like, I mean, you listen to what Donovan Edwards said about it. He said what makes him good now is the way that he operates with his players, the relationship that he builds on the field. He's played the game. You have a little bit more respect for coaches. Done it. I mean, he was drafted. He played for the Colts and whatever. But I mean, like, for him not to have any job, and again, Angelique Chanel, this whatever her name is, she's a Michigan beat writer. She said. She reported the same day that Hart had not been connected to any recent openings on college football or NFL staffs, which is, again, like, how on earth could a guy with that resume not be coaching somewhere right now? Like, and again, even if for some reason you whiff on every running back's coaching job or tight end's coaching job or whatever, like, for him to not even be like an analyst somewhere. Because, I mean, anybody will hire you to be an analyst. I mean, you're going to make like 50 grand. So, I mean, you can go out there and, when you go from making 700,000, 800,000, I mean, he's probably making 800 grand. If he's got a running game coordinator title, he's probably making 800. I mean, Tony Alford's making 850. So he's got the exact same job that Mike Hart had. So, again, that's bizarre. Doesn't even explain it. Like, he's not an analyst on a TV show. He's not an analyst with the Chargers. Like, literally every other coach from that staff is coaching somewhere except him. So again, it just seems really weird that someone is so radioactive. Because again, like, to me, it seems like something, there's got to be sort of a rumor or something going around about the kid that all of a sudden he's just out of the profession. Because he's not. I mean, he's my age. I mean, he's 38 years old. So it's not like he's some, and he didn't play 15 years in the league. He played like maybe 3 years in the NFL. So. He's got a long life to live and he's got a lot of money to make if he's gonna do it. So yeah, that one perplexes me because again, I just don't understand how a guy like that doesn't have some sort of a market. I mean, you look at Carlos Loughlin. I mean, and I think Carlos Loughlin is a fantastic coach, but you look at his resume versus Mike Hart's, and Mike Hart's resume, just from a production standpoint, a running draft standpoint, Mike Hart's is much better. I mean, Carlos Loughlin, like 4 years ago, was like a strength coach at, he was like a director of high school relations at Florida State. Then he went to Western Kentucky as running backs coach for like 1 year. Then he went to Oregon for 2 years. Now he's literally at Ohio State, as the best running backs coach job in the country. And again, that's kudos to him. I'm not slighting him, but his resume doesn't stack up. Mike Hart's been at Michigan for 4 years and he was literally the running game coordinator. So again, it's bizarre. So yeah, like you can read the tea leaves sometimes when somebody's viewed as so radioactive that they won't even put him on staff as an analyst, that's what's crazy to me. Is I'm like, there's so many coaches that have kind of splattered all over college football and all over the NFL that had been at Michigan, that he would know. I mean, Adam Stenovich, who was offensive lineman in 2004 when he was running back, he was their left tackle. Like he's literally the offensive coordinator for the Green Bay Packers right now. And I'm like he wouldn't hire Mike Hart to be like an analyst or something, or give him some sort of a role. There's just guys all over that he's cross-pollinated with that could give him a job, but it's not happening. So, Nevada, your thoughts, and we can dig into some super chats.
Well, yeah, no, it's it's such a weird situation, and it's one of those ones where I think you got to remember he's not under contract. So a lot of times when guys kind of disappear and go off to the Andes or something like that, it's because they're getting paid and they're like, hey, I'm not under any obligation to find a job. I'm going to go off and, surf or hang out with my girlfriend or play video games or bike with my kids or do whatever, then am I going to get paid? But as you pointed out, he's not under, his contract expired. So it's not like he's under threat of mitigation. He's not under contract, and he doesn't have 20 million in, NFL money to fall back on. He was barely in the league, had a cup of coffee in the league. So he made a little bit of money, but he didn't make, big life-changing kind of money. So that's a truly, truly weird situation. And, I really, that you have to wonder for Michigan to have had two of the coaches with Weiss and Hart both kind of fall off the grid. And, but I mean, I wonder about Weiss though too. I mean, like, is Weiss a suspect? Is he like Professor Plum? We have to throw him into the suspect pool too, because you're talking about a guy that under criminal investigation, um, computer access crimes, and this was a crime that so it might have been the genesis of the whole thing in terms of where they found it, but could he have been the guy that kind of unwound it all for everybody and put it out there? That doesn't sound crazy to me either.
Nope. No, I mean, I agree with you. Because, again, like, coaching, the thing about coaching is it is the ultimate profession where character does not matter at all. I mean, if you can coach, they will hire you. So, I mean, you look at, Steve Sarkisian's done a great job at Texas. Obviously, he had very public, substance battles, demons, like whatever you want to call it. Lane Kiffin, same way. If there's ever a place in the world that'll rehab you, it's coaching. If you could coach, like Bobby Petrino's back at Arkansas. Remember his little go around with the chick on the motorcycle that he crashed. I mean, it's insane. So that's why it's, what could you do that is so radioactive that you can't coach? And again, that's an excellent point, but he's not, oh God, who's our boy from LSU? He's not Ed Ogeron, who's like, oh, they're giving me a $21.5 million check to not coach it. And they say, hey, Bubba, what time you want me here? What time you want me to leave? What door you want me to walk out of? Like, it ain't like that. It's not like Tom Herman, who got fired at Texas, and he got $15 million or $20 million to go away. This ain't that. Like Mike Hart is not collecting a check right now. And again, he hasn't started a podcast. He's not an analyst anywhere. He's not the color guy for University of Michigan Radio. He's APV. I haven't heard a name from him anywhere. And again, when you're a coach, a lot of these guys, they'll take analyst jobs just to kind of stay in the mix, study the game. Like when Tom Herman got fired at Texas, he worked as a studio analyst for a year, and then he was an analyst for the Chicago Bears for a year. And now he's at Florida Atlantic as the head coach. So, these guys like to stay in the game and do something to stay busy and, keep a stream of money coming in. Even if you get that dream job and then you get fired and you get that big buyout, even if you get all that, then, you still want to do something. You don't want to sit in your underwear all day and eat Cheetos and watch Price is Right. You got to go do something. So, yeah, it's interesting, though. All right, we got some super chats stacking up. Nevada, do you have any final thoughts before we get into these?
No, so much Michigan stuff that it was kind of a quiet day, and it's just like Michigan. It all started piling up. So Michigan Palooza.
All right, Gabe Gaines, thank you for the 5. I hope you're good, my friend. Kirk, you sort of look like Brian Urlacher, Nevada OH, and the Bears. All right, so I was very fortunate to get drafted by the Chicago Bears. So I'm not a diehard Chicago Bears fan because I was there for a very short time before I started my my incredible NFL journey where I was bouncing all over the place. But I was around some of the greatest players in the history of the game, like Brian Urlacher, Hall of Famer, Devin Hester, Hall of Famer, Olin Kreutz should be a Hall of Famer, and Brian Urlacher sincerely is one of the nicest human beings I've ever been around. And again, I was a 7th round pick, trying to fight to make the roster every day, fist fight every day to make the roster. And he couldn't have been cooler to me. But I didn't it was like I was talking to him all the time, whatever. But he was a guy that, I had to block him a lot and, scout team and whatever. And, I'd always kind of just make sure that I made it look good for film. I wasn't trying to go clobber Brian Urlacher, who was making $10 million. And, this is 16 years ago now. It's a long time. 2008 is a long time ago. But he was He could have been cooler. I mean, Olin Kreutz was one of the baddest dudes in the history of mankind. He was a center. There were some dudes on that Bears team. You know, I mean, the problem is that they just never had a quarterback. Like they never had an elite QB. Like where our two QBs were Kyle Orton and Rex Grossman. You know, good players. I mean, Kyle Orton lasted like probably 15 years in the league. But they never had like that dominating quarterback. That was the thing that they were always missing. Defense, I mean, they had Tommy Harris and Mike Brown was real good, and they had Peanut Tillman, and they had dudes, Lance Briggs. They had dudes all over the place. But Brian Urlacher, literally one of the coolest guys I've ever been around. Nice guy. One of, it was funny when I came back from rookie minicamp. I went into the Woody Hayes one day, and James Laurinaitis and Marcus Freeman were working out. They were a year younger than I was, so they were seniors, and I was in the league, so I was in the Woody getting a workout in. And they asked me after I had my first like weekend of practices in the NFL, because back then you would do rookie mini camp, and it was like literally the first weekend after the draft, you were literally had a mini camp, and then I had OTAs, and then it was like the summer, and you have like a month off in the summer before you go report. And I was still living in Columbus, so I was in there working out one day, and they were talking to me like, "What's it like? What's the biggest difference?" And I was like, "Dude, like Brian Urlacher is as big as I mean, I was heavier, obviously much heavier than Brian Urlacher because I was 300 pounds and he was probably 245, but he was like 6'4.5", and he could run a 4.5 40. And I was like, I've never seen a guy that big run that fast. And he would make plays where I was just like, I've never seen anything like that guy, And again, like I know that there's supersize guys, but I mean, for a guy to be that tall and that fast. And that instinctive, I mean, he was just a freak of nature, which again, that's why he's first ballot Hall of Famer. It's because he was that good. So, yeah, Lack was a different cat, and his kids play for Marcus now at Notre Dame. So it's funny how the world goes around because Marcus got drafted to the Bears the next year. He didn't make the team out of training camp, but so he actually was teammates with Brian Urlacher for training camp, and then all of a sudden got cut and went to the Texans and Bills and was out of the league. So, yeah, it's pretty cool. Nevada, you're probably going to say that I look more like Professor Plum or Colonel Mustard or something than Brian Urlacher, but
I was hanging on the story that you're like one of those old guys that came back and was hanging around the Woody, lifting with the guys and running with them and doing all that stuff right there. And so I'm like, I can't believe you're that guy. You still do that, right? Do you still go over there and like run with them?
No. Here's the difference. The difference is the difference is if you're an active NFL player. That's different. If you're retired, then it's way different. Like you don't need to be hanging out in the Woody Hayes all day. I mean, me and Gonzo, like I was texting Gonzo because me and Gonzo are huge UFC fans, and like we would always make fun of those guys. So these guys would be like 40 years old hanging out in the Woody all day, and I'm like, what do you guys have lives or jobs or anything? It's like, no, we just go hang out in the Woody all day. And I'm like, I mean, at some point you got to cut the cord and just go live your life and let the kids, because again, like I think it's a bad look, but that's me. I mean, me and Gonzo, there were guys, I'm not going to name their names, but we would dog those guys so hard. So like, get the F out of here, dude. You haven't played since 1992 and you're walking around the Woody Hayes. Like, get out of here. But again, that was just me. But but like when the active players usually would come in at lunch, and so you'd see, like I used to always see. I mean, hell, I see Gonzo in there when he was playing he played like he had a little stint with the Patriots at the very end of his career, and he was in there getting his workout in. And because again, like the big thing about the Woody is like they've got turf fields everywhere, they've got grass fields everywhere. So if you got to go run your conditioning, because most teams, like when they give you time off, they give you like a pamphlet, a workout, a field workout to do. So it's like you can go out there and there's freshly manicured grass you can go run all over. And for me, I'd always practice the conditioning tests, on the turf, and I'd do it at noon every day when it was hot as can be so that I could get the best work in. So again, that's my opinion. Nevada, I'm gonna let you go first on this one. David K, thank you for the 5. Appreciate you. Would love to hear your opinions on Tom Brady in the broadcast booth. Not sure why they would pay $36 million a year to a whiny voice like that. Nevada, have you listened to Brady, and what are your thoughts on him?
Whiny voice, kind of, that nails it. I mean, his voice is kind of annoying, but you could get by it because his play was so good for all those years. But as a broadcaster, I just don't get it. I understand the kind of the Tony Romo thing kind of started it, where Tony Romo came and he'd predict plays, and everybody was like, "Wow, he knew what play was going to come," and that was amazing, and it was so a thing. And then Tony Romo quickly became annoying, and he's on the train of Chris Collinsworth. Chris Collinsworth is the most annoying person in the world. I was watching a thing on Instagram, and the guy was like making fun of Chris Collinsworth for how he was slobbering over Caleb Williams. Caleb Williams can hand off the ball better than anybody else in the history of the football game. But the Tom Brady, yeah, his voice is just—it's not pleasing. But he's not exactly James Earl Jones. He's more like Jackie Earl Haley from like a Bad News Bears, like Breaking Trend, like the Kelly Leak character or something like that. But his voice is really, really kind of high pitched and kind of shrill. And so I feel like it's like my third grade teacher like yelling at me the whole time when I'm listening. So I had to turn it off. I couldn't even listen to him anymore because yeah, his voice is annoying.
I just, I think that obviously he's the best football player who's ever lived and the rest, but he's not, he's such a drab, bland guy. And again, that part of that is his edge, and part of it's because he's like, he's like a little mini Bill Belichick and little mini, I've got an edge and I've got I've got this edge to me, and I was a 6th-round pick and all that. And again, like I respect everything that he's done, but I think he'll improve as a broadcaster because again, it's like everything. It just takes a lot of reps to get to the point where you're, good at it. But, I think that like when he talks to players, like when he was talking to Kamara after the game yesterday, I mean, those guys all respect him more than anybody just because, when you got 7 rings and you're the unanimous GOAT, then those guys are going to respect you. But, I don't know. Like, I don't know if I don't know if it's, you got to have a better delivery. You got to be more entertaining. There's a line between being informative and being a clown, and that's something that, like if you're just going to be funny all the time, it's not going to work. And then there's a line of being too big of a know-it-all, which, like Chris Collinsworth loves to go way over that line. And, it kind of exploit all of the things that he knows and all the things that he says. And he does love slobbering over like guys like Caleb Williams. And it is annoying because, I mean, that guy is he's liquid death to a football team at this point. And he's a turnover machine. And I'm just like, dude, you can't keep throwing it to the other team. You're going to get killed. And it's like, the Bears had a shot in that game. I mean, their defense played hard. But, when your quarterback just gives the ball away over and over again, you have no chance to ever win. So I don't know. I think Brady will get better. I don't think he can focus on the number, like the salary. I just think that, when you've got a name like Tom Brady, he can show up and do, half the games and be on the A team for Fox and, but there's no one, like, there's no reason I'd ever tune in and say that he's excellent. Because again, like a lot of the guys that I like, they were good players, but maybe at the next level they weren't. Like, I think Jake Butt is fantastic. And again, Jake's a Columbus kid that we whiffed on and he went to Michigan or whatever. But Jake Butt does a great job. Like James Laurinaitis, when he was doing color for Big Ten Network, was excellent. And I used to tell him, like, dude, like, please don't. Of course, I told him, please don't ever stop because you're going to be on Fox and you're going to be on the A team, the NFL, and sure as can be, soft to become linebackers coach. But James was really good, and he was, again, he wasn't overwhelming, but he had great insight, and you could tell that he studied hard, and he always had good anecdotes and whatever. So I think there's a balancing act to it. I think Tom Brady will figure it out. Again, I don't. Tom Brady's a Michigan guy, so it's hard for me to say like I love him, but I definitely respect him. But again, a guy that's actually decent, like I think in my all-time favorite Hall of Fame guys, my favorite color guy to listen to was Gruden. Because I thought Gruden was always hilarious, just because he was so intense and he'd always, say all of his craziness. But I wish Gruden would get back on the color game, especially from Monday Night Football. Because I used to always like look forward to hearing him, even though he's a little crazy, and a little wonky, and a little intense, but I don't know, man. There's something about him. He's got a YouTube channel, man, and I love watching his videos because he's just so into it, and he really gets excited about it. And again, I think Tom is just a guy that's used to going to bed at 7 p.m. and eating a dish of avocado ice cream and, drinking whole milk and whatever. And he's just kind of a drab dude. Now he's a monster, and again, so there's nothing wrong with that. But does that add the amount of spice the requisite intensity and spice that you want in a play-by or in a color commentator? I don't know. So, anything else on that, Nevada? That's a great question, David. I appreciate you, my man.
No, I mean, I don't know what he's going to do to change his voice. And like you said, he is boring. He's got a bad voice and he's boring. And yeah, I don't know. I'll ride with other people. Yeah, I'll let you can be there with Joel Klatt and with Tom Brady and with Chris Collinsworth and all those guys. And I don't even know
I
why we even have color commentators. It's
I
like
I mean, did you like Gruden?
I loved Gruden. I loved Gruden. I mean, Gruden was so. I mean, like you said, he's so genuine. That's what
Yeah,
I like people that are genuine. That's what bugs me, and it's a little off topic, but it's on the Gus Johnson or Joel Klatt thing. It's like I feel like everything is so like it's just
forced.
phone. It's phony. It's like the
It's
whole thing's phony.
forced. Yes.
Yeah, like everything's. Oh my gosh, this is all the way, and it's like everything isn't the greatest thing of all time. It's just
No.
not. And when you try to make it sound like that, it's just not the thing. And it's so they come across as inauthentic. And I think with Brady, he just comes across as boring. He comes across as authentically boring. And I don't know how that's going to change. Gruden is anything but that. Gruden has got an edge to him. He had an edge when he coached, and thought he was a tremendous. He was very entertaining to listen to. And but if I want a color commentator, I want something like Dandy Don Meredith or something like that. I want somebody who's like legitimately country and singing songs and doing stuff like that. Chris Collinsworth he's just trying too hard. Just stop trying so hard there, Chris.
Yeah, like Madden. Like Madden's the OG, rest his soul, but he was
Yeah,
always like kind of funny and goofy and big cuddly bearish and oh watch
but he
this
was
and watch
smart.
that.
But
Oh
but he
God,
was
yeah.
but he was smart, and he would say, and everybody wants to be mad because they see that guy how much money he made being that big cuddly bear, and everybody wants to be that guy, and they're just not. And stop trying.
Yeah. SC Buckeye, thanks for the deuce. Hope you're good, my man. Thanks for being on for members. Well, Scum Football on the way to the to the train station, Nevada OH.
I oh
Yeah, I say to the bottom of the ocean, but yeah, train station for sure, man. They are in really bad shape, and I'm loving it. I'm loving every bit of it. This is like the Brady Hoke era all over again. Ohio Refugee, thank you for the Ultra membership. Thank you for the 10. The scum denial is the only genuine thing up north. The NCAA is about to hammer dance on those bums with razor spike cleats, and I'm here for every minute of it. Nevada OH.
I oh
Yeah, the denial was, I mean, it was like outer worldly how much they were denying this stuff and how, like, again, I just go back to a year ago when they're tweeting bet and we have no idea and could never be us and, no clue. And we want it, then they go back to the moron Charlie Baker. They want it fair and square on the field or whatever. And it's like, well, that was out of context. But it's beautiful how all of a sudden they're dancing to a different tune. It's like they're not saying bet and, we're big baddies. Now it's more like, yeah, we're about to get smoked and it's about to be ugly. And again, the Sherrod Moore thing, like him not having a contract forever, I was like, you want to talk about giving teams ammunition to recruit against you? I'd be like, well, that their head coach doesn't have a signed, executed contract yet. He's like one of 3 in the country and the only one at a major school. So what does that tell you about what's going on there? I mean, I'd negative recruit the crap out of Michigan at this point. What are your thoughts about Ohio Refugee? Again, thanks for the 10. He says, the scum denial is the only genuine thing up north, which I agree with. The NCAA is about to hammer dance on those bums with razor spike cleats. And I'm here for every minute. Do you have anything to add to that, Nevada?
no, just look. The longer this thing goes on, the better it is. And I know that there's a certain segment of people that want it tomorrow or wanted it yesterday or whatever it is. And I'm completely in the opposite. I want this to drag out forever and ever because it's the uncertainty that kills these guys. The actual event, when it actually event happens, then they know when it's over. They know how many years they have. They know the games that lost. And that while that's satisfying from one level, man, the uncertainty is what's killing that program. And I'm all about that. So I like the sort of Damocles hanging over their head, just waiting for the little string to break and it drops on them. And, keep it going longer than possible. And I think Michigan was truly stunned by the depth of the notice of allegations that they received. And they're just really not sure how to respond at this point. And like I said, I hope this goes on for another year and a half. Nothing more would please me than that.
So Chris Jackson, thank you for the 10. Sergio Osama, thank you for the deuce. Hope you're doing good, my friend. What about the linebackers coach? Well, Chris Partridge, amusingly enough, landed in Seattle with the Seahawks, which is the home of Mike McDonald, who was the DC in 2021 before he left after 1 year to get to the Ravens. Went and worked with John Harbaugh for a year. Now he's the head coach of the Seahawks. So that's where Jay Harbaugh and Chris Partridge, and so basically like the two asylum, cities were turned into Seattle and Los Angeles for every former Michigan coach, aside from the tight ends coach, who's now the line coach, and Sharon Moore. Everybody else went west, and they went as far west as they possibly could go. They went to LA, they went to Seattle. So it's like I always say, if there was a team in Alaska or Hawaii, they probably would have gone there to get as far away from the thing as they could. But yeah, he's now the linebackers coach for the Seattle Seahawks. So doesn't surprise me. Everybody got out of there that could.
Now hold on, one more thing on Partridge, and I had this text to me, and I want to credit 11 Warriors on this because they had this. I did not have this, but they're saying that Partridge was one finger in Hart. That Partridge actually was calling out, saying that Hart was the mole. So I hadn't heard that. That's what they're going with. They've been pretty good on this stuff. I always look when people report on something that's good. I always want to give them props. They've been pretty good on this stuff, but I had not heard Chris Partridge's name. And I'd heard Chris Partridge's name in the context of a lot of different things, but apparently Partridge is the one that's pointing the finger at Mike Hart, which I find fairly amusing. Certainly consistent with what we've been saying for a very long time. But Partridge apparently is not being shy about calling out Hart as being the guy that caused this entire mess for Michigan.
Well, I mean, like I said, we've said many times Jim Harbaugh hates Michigan more than any human being on earth. Mike Hart might be number 2. I mean, after he gets passed up for Sharon Moore, and Mike Hart it was weird. There was this series of when Jim Harbaugh was suspended, then Sharon Moore was suspended. Like Mike Hart was like the head coach of Michigan for like 1/4 or 1/2 last year at some point. So he was, by record, the first black head coach in the history of Michigan. But then when it came to give out the actual real head coaching job, they gave it to Sharon Moore. So again, he is not their fan. And like I said, something stinks here that he doesn't have any job. No one said anything. He's basically gone into hiding. Like that. None of that makes sense because everybody else, literally every other person involved in the thing has moved on. Even Chris Partridge, who was fired in the middle of the season on a Friday, he gets fired and he's coaching in Seattle now. So there were safe havens for like I said, that head coach in Seattle. He worked with Mike Hart in 2021. He knows who Mike Hart is. Him and Jim Harbaugh and Sharon Moore. There's 3 different coaching staffs that knew Jim Harbaugh. These guys are all head coaches now, and they all had to go form brand new staffs. These guys, they basically had their pick of the litter to build their staffs. None of them hired Mike Hart, which, again, for a guy that just put Blake Corum in the league, and if you just look solely at running back production, you'd be like, wow, he'd probably be in demand. I mean, it's not like his guys have all sucked. I mean, his guys were first-team All-Americans. I mean, literally last year. So, again, read the tea leaves, folks. It's not that hard. Chris Jackson, thanks for the 5. University of Michigan alumni Jim Stapleton allegedly leaked the info. He doesn't like Harbaugh. Well, that's the thing, man, is there's a lot of people that don't like Jim Harbaugh. Like when you're like an abrasive doofus, you're gonna build this mountain of enemies. I mean, Ward Manuel hated Jim Harbaugh, hated him, and everywhere he goes, again, he's on this he beat the worst team in NFL history, the Carolina Panthers, yesterday, but he's on a 2-game winning streak. He's up 2-0. They're doing exactly what I thought they'd do. I mean, they've turned J.K. Dobbins into Emmitt Smith. I mean, he's ready to lead the NFL in rushing after 2 games. And, I told you, they're going to run the rock. They've got 2 first-round tackles now. They're going to play great defense. And that's same thing he did at Michigan, which is why I said, like, when Sharon Moore takes over Michigan, he's not going to replicate the stuff that Jim Harbaugh does, because he builds that team physical as can be, great running team, control the clock, play defense, win games. And he did that at Stanford. He did that at San Francisco. He did it at Michigan, and I was doing it in LA. So again, Sharon to replicate that, I don't think it's going to happen. Nevada, your thoughts again. Chris Jackson, thanks for the 5. U of M alumni Jim Stapleton allegedly leaked the info that he doesn't like hairball. What are your thoughts about it?
Well, Stapleton's been public. I mean, I want to say it was John U. Bacon or somebody had publicly identified him as. But look, there were a lot of key guys there, and you got to remember, Harbaugh was kind of taking on kind of the entrenched bureaucracy there, kind of the lifers, and calling them out. And man, I'm telling you, when you take on the bureaucracy like that, they can get at you, and they can get at you in a lot of different ways. So whether it be Stapleton or somebody else, but then there, like I said, I guarantee you the call came from within the house, and I don't know that's able there, but I know his name has been publicly linked to it, and he's as good a candidate as anybody.
Yeah, it doesn't surprise me because, like I said, a lot of people don't like him. Luke Nicely, thanks for the deuce. He says, don't know how long ago, but I said Mike Hart, Nevada OH. Yeah, I mean, sometimes when you're, when you're looking at all the angles of this, like we like to do, it's it's hard not to when something just truly doesn't make sense. And again, there's been about 1,000 times where we've nailed this just because we've got really good sources on this, but we also we're sharper than any Michigan beat writers or podcasters or whatever because like I said. When you've got the counter stallions thing and, you just blow these holes through his entire story where it says, well, I got everything off of the TV copy and you're allowed to legally do that. I'm like, okay, let's go watch a football game right now. Let's watch Monday Night Football tonight. Get on BuckeyeScoop.com tonight. And I want you to take a photo of every time you see the signalers. Again, you're not going to see it in the NFL like you do in college, but there is still communications that go on. Show it to me. Like I want to see the next college game. Show me where you think you could pick a signal off of the 1.5 seconds that they show a signal per game or so. Because I watch college football all day on Saturday, just like you guys do, and I never see the signalers. I might see them for 1 second, for if they just happen to be on a wide shot of a coach. But generally, like when they're shooting the coaches tight on the sideline, if they're showing Ryan Day or they're showing Chip Kelly up in the booth or they're showing whoever. Like they don't show the signalers. Now again, I could be crazy, but again, I've watched as much football as any human being on earth over the last 30 years, and I've never seen that. So Nevada, Luke says he doesn't know how long ago, but he said Mike Hart. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, no, I hate that. Kudos on the call. Like, yeah, we've talked about him a number of times, and I mean, he certainly fits the profile. There's a lot of circumstantial evidence that really there's some, like I said, I like the timing on some other guys a little bit better, but with Mike, it certainly makes sense, and his name's certainly a guy when you talk to people that are in the know, whenever you bring up, he's certainly one of the first names that's kind of brought up from Michigan people. So I can guarantee you that he's certainly at the top of their suspect list. But even the Michigan people know that this was an internal job the whole way. And he's probably the top candidate.
Totally agree. General Chrome, thank you for the 5. B-Dubs in Grove City opening at the end of this month. Scoop meetup there soon. Yeah, I literally just have to get with the ownership group. They want to organize it, and we will figure out a date and time. And I'll be there with whistles on, ready to rock. Excited for it. I think they had to push it. It was supposed to be open mid-month, so it's getting a little deep in the month at this point. So I think another week or two, and we'll figure that out. But yeah, that'll be the next site. We just have to get the date, and I will get with you guys as soon as possible. So Nevada, General Chrome says, and again, thank you for the 5, my friend. B-Dubs at Grove City opening at the end of this month. Scoop meetup there soon. Nevada will eventually get to a meetup, but I don't think he's going to make this one, but I will be there. So that suffices. Your thoughts on that?
When Nevadabuck does come to one of these things, though, you have to promise me it's going to be complete and total pandemonium. Because that's the thing. I need a commitment from the board that if Nevadabuck comes to one of these open, that it's going to be pandemonium, that we're going to overrun the place, and that they have to call the fire marshal, and that we're going to do the standing room only. We'll have like a velvet rope there. You can work as like the bouncer at the velvet rope there and just like call people in. I think that's the kind of thing that I want to be part of. I want it to be a big extravaganza.
Oh, I can't wait for you to come because I'm going to take the day off. I'm going to say, all right, Nevada, it's all you, big dog. Welcome
You
to
work
the
the
welcome,
door,
welcome
man.
to welcome to Kirk Road. Yeah, I'll be working the door to my my pool. I'm saying, hey, Nevada, you FaceTime me, let me know how it's going. He's like, oh my God, Kirk, there's 600 people in line ready to meet me, and I was like, oh yeah, hey, go get a big hug and a kiss from Nevadabuck. You know, so I'm telling you, it's like our meetups are awesome, and they are. I mean, pandemonium. We'll do the spring game one again next year. I mean, it was holy cow. I mean, it's crazy. So when you show up, I can't wait because everyone's like, "Where'd Kirk go?" Oh, Kirk is on a flight to Vegas. He's having a good time. Kirk, are you coming to help me? No.
No,
Welcome. Oh, I'm going with Dagestan Poppy to go meet Uncle Dana, Uncle
oh
Crackstreams.
gosh.
Poohbeard 12, thank you for being ultra member. Thank you for the 10. Hope you're good. My friend, the world's oldest woman just died at 117. She saw 2 world wars. She saw the rise and fall of the Soviet Union. The world went from horses to outer space, but she never saw a 4,000-yard passer on the Bears. Wow. Poohbeard, you are seriously the best. That is the funniest thing of all time. And that is so true because they've never had a 4,000-yard passer, which is absolutely incredible in the modern passing era of the NFL. Wow, 117 Nevada. 117. That's pretty good.
Yeah, that's really good. I mean, that's really. I was thinking about that. Like, I see people on TV, or you see them, and they're like 70 or 85 or something like that, and you're like, man, that's going to really suck to be to consider. I hope I can get around. So what I'm counting on though, Kirk, is you're gonna take care of me when I get older. You're gonna I'm gonna be set up in the wing there with the kids, and you're gonna push me around and feed me and stuff like that.
I'm just gonna wheel you into the Sapphire and leave you there. You'll be sitting there like, do we know this?
I'm okay with that.
Do
I'm
we
okay
know
with
this guy? Like, they'll be like, I don't know where we got this guy, but his credit card keeps working no matter how many times we swipe it. This is great. We haven't found that. Everybody go buy a Range Rover quick while the credit card's still on. This is great. I'll be like, and they're like, who left him here? Some big guy left him in the middle of the club. And I was like, well, hey, I wanted him to go out smiling, and he did. So there we go.
Let's go.
let's go. And they'll say, well, what if we need more money? I'll say, just go tail deck us on Poppy, man. How much money you want to make?
Yeah, exactly.
You know? So, yeah, we have some people on YouTube asking how to find Dagestan Poppy. So you guys have to get on X, which used to be Twitter, and just search Dagestan, that's where Dagestan is where Khabib's from. Khabib Nurmagomedov, or whatever his name is. He's probably the second or third best UFC fighter of all time behind John Jones. But he's from Dagestan, which is like a little tiny part of Russia, Republic of Dagestan, where it's like the land of the baddest fighters in the world. They're a factory putting out these guys, the Republic of Dagestan. And Dagestan is spelled Dagestan. And then Poppy is Papi. So if that's a compound word, Dagestan Poppy. So for the people in the YouTube comments are asking, how do you find Dagestan Poppy? Get on Twitter and search for the compound word Dagestan Poppy. So there you go. A good geography lesson today. Don't act like we don't do whatever we need to do to make you guys happy. Because I was like, I gotta spell out, make sure that people know how to spell Dagestan, because the folks in the YouTube comments did not spell it anywhere near correctly. They spelled it phonetically, so that was kind of funny. So Dagestan Poppy, he is a monster, man, and I love that kid so much. Buckeye BA, thanks for the deuce. Al, I heard you sit around the Woody in gold pants. Well, I'm the only one in there that's got any recently, so I might be. I don't think I have gold pants that fit me. My poor wife knows that I only wear black every day, so she doesn't even think to buy me anything other than that. Nevada, he hears that I sit around the Woody and gold pants. I don't have time to, because I have a podcast with you guys every night. So if I want to get some exercise in and get some work done during the day, I don't have time to go hang out with the Woody. But what are your thoughts, Nevada?
Well, yeah, I just have this visions of you like jogging with like the women's soccer team and stuff like that, and kind of working out there, hanging out, sitting in the hot tub and the cold tub, and playing some miniature golf, going to the barber shop, doing your thing, and yeah, I mean, when you told me that story, you hanging around the wax, going to stay with me for a long time, man. I thought you used to think you were like really cool. Now
Oh
I'm like,
God.
man, Kirk, man, what happened to him?
Oh my God. It's like when you've spent that many hours in that place, you never want to go back. It's like when someone retires from like working at school for, oh, this teacher retired. He worked at some school for 50 straight years or whatever. Now he's retired. Like he doesn't ever want to go back. He might want to go back once every 2 years or something. But he's not going to go back there every day and hang out because it's like you've done it. Like when people retire from their jobs, like my mom retired from her job last year after like 40 years of working. She is never going to go back to that building again. I promise you. Like she's like so happy. She's not like to be like, man, I remember I used to sit at this desk all day and sit on this computer and take inbound calls. And I'm like, she doesn't want to ever see that again. You know, at some point it's like, I'm good. I've done it. I'd rather just podcast again. Mike Green, what's up, my man? Thank you for the 5. Big Dog Kirk, my dream is to be a big booster for our Buckeyes. Any advice once I'm ready and what to look forward to? Well, I think I can ask Nevadabuck that because the one thing that once you're a big booster for the Buckeyes, like the great Nevadabuck is, the one thing you get to look forward to is big invoices getting sent your way every single year. I was like, I don't even want them to know that I exist. And you, hey, you want to know something funny? Look what I just got. Ohio State University development. Development, for those of you guys that aren't in code, development means that they're the people that ask you for money. So from the athletic department, yesterday, I got this, which looks terrible, this football schedule that they literally printed out, and it's on like paper. So I don't know why they would send me this. This is stupid. And then they sent me this yesterday, so like the season's we're already 2 games in. And then get this, Nevada, from my boy, I got a card that says Barton #1 on it from Ryan Day. I was like, literally. Like, I mean, I was like, can you at least put my real number on there? And you don't even put 1 on me like I'm every other jamoke in the world. Ohio State is unlike any other place in the country, as Buckeyes, the support of Buckeye Club members like you, have been instrumental in helping create the best environment for athletes to flourish academically and athletically. Thank you so much for your passion, drive, and being a part of the team. As we gear up for the season, our singular goal is winning together as a family with Buckeye Nation right beside us. We can't wait to see you in the shoe to cheer for our young men as they lead us to victory. Thank you, and go Bucks, Ryan Day. Well, I mean, just say that we would have won a national title and beat Michigan, because I don't care about the rest of that. But yeah, look, I got my #1 jersey on my little pamphlet.
No, Kirk, they personalized a jersey. They made up a jersey for you and did. I mean, look at that.
#1.
That's amazing. That's
you know
amazing.
Why? You know why they changed? You know why they changed my number to #1? Because we have the #1 Ohio State podcast in all the land, baby. So they said we better change it from 74. You know?
Oh gosh.
Like, oh my
you're
God.
You're #1.
We are #1. So, any advice once I'm ready and what to look forward to? I mean, I don't know, man. I think it's great to give if you want to get your name on a building, get tickets, get a suite, whatever. But it never, like, no matter what you give, they're always going to want more. So again, I deal with some of the biggest owners. They're really good friends of mine, and it never stops. You can't ever give enough. So, but yeah. So Nevada, do you have anything to add? 'Cause that's more your area of expertise.
Yeah, that's an area that I'm all too conversant on. Is the thing. I mean, how honest do we want to be on this show here about things?
Well, I mean, you paid a lot of money for a sign, and the sign doesn't exist anymore. So I mean, it's like you paid. I mean, I think that as soon as you write the check and they name something after you, they just root for you to die as fast as possible so they can take your sign off and sell it again to the next person that's still alive. You know?
Yeah, I would say that the customer service experience from the development of Ohio State is lacking. Let's just put it that way, and that's from firsthand experience with it. So I can suggest other things that you do with your money that might be more productive and that might have a higher return, both intrinsically and financially. But hey, go Bucks, give that money, get that NIL because we love get those players. But yeah, for me personally, it was not a very satisfactory experience. Let's put it that way.
Oh god! Think about all the 100-play poker you could play at
Oh
Cosmopolitan.
God,
Oh my god!
all the Range Rovers I could have bought those
All the
strippers at
Ranger-
Sapphires.
It's like, they go one for every day of the week.
Oh God.
Samuel Crockett, thank you for the 10. Thank you for being an ultra member as well. I'm actually asking for my friends, are you confident we have the line to pick up a 4th and 1? Yeah, because we could throw it. I mean, we could run an RPO, which is what every smart team should do. I mean, I'd run read option. I'd spread everything out. I'm not going to put 5. I'm not putting 4 tight ends in when our tight ends aren't good. I want as few of those guys on the field as possible. I'd rather put Brandon Innocent over any of our tight ends. But like again, I've said it a million times. It's not just the line; it's the scheme. We have the running backs to do it. We have the quarterback to do it. If we have the right call, and again, I hate watching football sometimes, and watching NFL football sometimes, and watching predictable, terrible, stupid play calls. Like I watch the Ravens. I have Derrick Henry in fantasy football, and it's like they get it every time they get in the I formation, they hand it to him. And yesterday, whoever they're playing, they're playing the Raiders yesterday. When they were in the I formation, they'd hand him the ball. In Tennessee, to have 10 guys in the box, so there'd be two free hitters there, and I'm like, can you guys please run read option with Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry? Please, for the love of God, do that. Make Lamar Jackson a threat. Instead they put him under center, bring the fullback in, run it right in the A gap, and he gets like 2 yards. And I'm like, dude, like a little bit of illusion, maybe a little bit of stress on the backside of the defense. Like, I don't know. Maybe I'm crazy. But instead of just running it right in the A gap like an idiot, I lose my mind sometimes with these NFL gurus. But yeah, I think we could pick it up on 4th and 1. I think that like with our running backs and the guys that we have, we could do that versus anybody. Like who are you scared of at this point? Michigan? No. Texas? Maybe. Georgia? No. So I mean, our guys, again, with J.J. Smith, and again, this is what Kirk would do, because again, Kirk is sometimes smarter than these guys that make $1 zillion. If you have J.J. Smith on your team, he never comes off the field. Split him out wide, and if they don't double team him, run a slant, throw it to him. Otherwise, you've got Carnell, you've got Ennis, you got Emeka, figure something out. Spread it out. Don't put 4 tight ends in the game and try to run it in the A gap like an idiot. You versus a 10-man box, and then you get booed out of Ohio Stadium because you're a genius. Nevada, your thoughts again, Samuel. Appreciate you. Thanks for the 10. Says, I'm actually asking for my friends. Are you confident we have the line to pick up a 4th and 1, Nevada?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I like our line as much as any line in the country. Anyone, any team you name, I like our line as much. I certainly like our wide receiver group, our running back group, our quarterback. But I watch a lot of college football just like you do, and every other team in the world, when it's 4th and short, runs the quarterback. You look at a big time around the goal line in short yardage, they all run the quarterback. And why? Because it always works. Because you have an extra blocker. Because you can outnumber them at the point of attack. So yeah, don't make it. I totally agree with you. Spread them out. Run zone read with Will Howard and Quinshawn, or Will Howard and Trey Henderson, and you will pick it up every single time. If you bring in the extra tight ends, if you bring in the thing, you load 9 guys into a compact area and try to run it straight ahead or some delayed handoff to the backside, you have a very high likelihood that's going to get blown up. And that is not on the offensive line. That is completely on the play caller. So if you run the play, when Tom Herman was here and we'd have 3rd or short or 4th and short, and you went mega warp speed, how many times did that ever get stopped? I can't remember it ever getting stopped. Like not one time. Do that.
It didn't. I mean, I watched like when LSU played Florida State last year, and both teams, every time it was short yardage, ran read option every time. And LSU had the guy that won the Heisman at quarterback. So I mean, it was automatic as automatic could ever get. And I'm like, we don't do it because again, CJ Stroud is made of porcelain, so we could never run him, heaven forbid. And when we finally did run him, we should have beat the Georgia Bulldogs. And again, I'm not an advocate of running a guy, getting him killed, getting him hurt, but he can run around the edge and go slide and get 2 yards, and we can convert, and then he can go, eat his ice cream cone on the sideline because he's a softie. Again, I'm just telling you, like, go run. Again, I lived in the Troy Smith era when we stunk on offense, and the difference between us going 8-4 and beating Michigan was Troy running the ball, nothing else. 2005 at Michigan, the difference between us winning and losing in Ann Arbor was Troy running the ball. So 2 straight Michigan games. If he doesn't run, we have no chance. And the funny thing is, in 06, Troy kind of refused to run, which is fine. He was trying to be a pocket guy, whatever. I didn't think he was as good. He wasn't as dangerous because he just literally like flat out refused to run. But it was funny because the biggest play of the season was when he got smoked on the sideline by Sean Crable, and he got us an automatic first down, and it was like clinching the game because Sean was not real smart on that one, but I appreciate it. That's that general studies degree paying off big time. Jose Alvarez, thank you for the 5. The clip of Barton killing the cheater up north ref as a former guard. I haven't been able to wrap my mind around how you knew to pick the angle and get the safety. That was a great play. That was a fun play. Actually could probably dial it up real quick. Nevada, I broke that play down on here before, and hitting the ref was just dumb luck. But, I was living right at that point in my life, so I knew that I'd get some karma, and I got to hit a ref, which everyone's always dreamed of hitting a ref that acts like an idiot, especially when they throw holding calls that don't really mean anything for you. But we
was that the Beanie run? Was that the Beanie run? Yes,
it was Beanie. I was playing tight end on the play. We were running unbalanced, so I'll give you guys a little lesson in the unbalanced formation. And the Beanster got the ball, and our tight end Rory Nickel was a space cadet on that play, and he literally the play almost didn't even happen because Beanie got hit in the backfield because we were not super bright, and we literally run out. I'm trying to find it real quick, see if I got it on this reel. Like it was one of those plays where Beanie basically made the play, because if Beanie doesn't spin out of a tackle, it's a loss of 4, because he gets hit in the backfield because we were just so bad at tight end on the play. Roy Nickel just completely whiffed. So I'll see if I can find this real quick. But it was it was a lot of luck because I was able to get the ref, and the ref went splat, so that was good. Let me see if this is it. Is this it? Yeah, here it is. All right, I'll pull this up real quick for you guys. Don't say I've never done nothing for you. I can get this lickety split. All right, so this is the Michigan game, 06, 1,000 years ago, back when I was young. I was not anywhere near as handsome as I am now. All right, so second quarter, 7-7. Obviously, this is the 1 versus 2 game. So break the huddle, and I am lined up at tight end. So here's me, your boy. Here is Alex Boone, who is our left tackle. Here's TJ Downing, Doug Daddish, Steve Raring, and then this is Rory Nickel. So Rory he's a tight end normally, but when you run unbalanced, he literally becomes the left tackle, and I come over here and play tight end. So you do that to kind of confuse the defense. These guys can't figure out how to. Again, you got all the general studies guys out here. They can't figure out who's where, what. Again, I'm ineligible. Rory, you can throw Rory a pass. He's eligible over here. So we run the play, and Rory just completely whiffs on Crable. So this is like an old school like read option looking action where we don't block the end. We're reading the end, and Rory, it's just a zone play to the left. These guys are doubling up to here. We're leaving the end. So they're doubling up to here, doubling up to here. I'm releasing for the safety for this guy. So I got to take an angle. Mind you, I got knee braces on. So again, it looks like a read option here. So again, they're reading him. He's coming up the field, and he hands it to Beanie. I don't think this is actually a read, though. I think it looks like a read. This is when the read option was getting real big with Rich Rod, so we kind of ran some of that stuff. And again, Beanie gets hit in the backfield. He spins out of it. Thank God. So then you've got me kind of just meandering up here like it's about midnight, walking out of STK with Nevadabuck. And I jack the safety. And again, I'm just trying to get there at this crazy angle, because again, I've got knee braces on 300 pounds. I got to get to the safety that probably runs a 4.5. So I get to the angle and I just push him as hard as I can, and it kills the ref. And then, this is why you want to have first round running backs. I played with really bad running backs and I played with first rounders. I'll take first rounders any day of the week and 10 times on Saturday. So again, you got the general studies guys can't figure it out how to line up over here. So there's there's Sean who, the 2 is probably his Wonderlic score, and he's getting lined up finally. They figure it out. And so you got Woodley over here, who's a D end. He's got to line up over the tackle or over the guard. So they kind of split it over that way. And you got Rory, who again completely whiffs, which is like, it's the best part of the whole play. Is like Sean Crable like literally had a chance to make a play and he blew this play like he always did. So he comes in. Here's your boy. I'm up here free releasing, double team. Real simple blocking here. It's a zone, and I'm boogieing. Thank God for Beanie being a first rounder and putting his foot in the ground and spinning. And the field was terrible this day. You can see that the field looks like hay. And I come up here and I get this safety, man. This is great. So I get him. I think that's Ryan Mundy, he was from Pennsylvania, and I jack him right into the umpire, and he just goes splat. So the umpire's here. He's just, enjoying the game, watching, gets crushed. And I'm just sitting there and I'm like, this is great. And again, this is like, there's no better feeling in the entire world than when you've got a guy like Beanie that legitimately runs a 4.3 and all you can see is the back of his jersey and he's just getting further and further away as the play goes. So Nevada, you were there that day. I'm sure you had probably a cup of cocoa in each hand and you just threw it up in the air, and it probably charged you $75 to get another 2 cups of cocoa. But what are your thoughts?
Yeah, no, that was a iconic play in Ohio State history, and yeah, it's so funny how the difference between like a disaster, a la Cribble making that tackle, and a just an amazing play that we're all talking about 20 years later is one Beanie spin move. But that was fun. Great play. Great play for old number 74. Part of the reason we the next year we got our tree. I think playing no small part.
I was just gonna say that was one of the plays that helped get you a tree in the Grove. You didn't even know it then. You're just sitting there. You're just like, man, this is going to be great. I can't wait to go to my tree planting. This will be awesome.
I knew it. I'm going to take care of that tree too. I'm going to love and nurture that tree. I'm going to mulch it. I'm going to mulch it next time I'm there.
Oh, I love it. Curtis Hatter, thanks for the 5. Burke and Vada, after watching Marvin Harrison Jr. yesterday in the NFL, and those are saying JJ could be better. That's unreal. What say you, Nevada OH? I think JJ is going to be much better than Marvin. Now, again, might be crazy, but I think JJ is just a different cat. I think JJ is more of a dog than Marvin is. I think Marvin's good, but it was like one of the weirdest stat lines I've ever seen, because Marvin had like 4 catches for 130 yards in literally the first quarter, and then he got shut out the last 3 quarters. So, like, again, just perplexing. And again, I think Marvin, obviously, he's really good. If you put a gun to my head, I still take Garrett Wilson over Marvin. It's not me being a hater. It's just my preference. I think Garrett is explosive. And, again, I look at, there's a lot of traits. I mean, Jackson Smith and Jigba had 12 catches yesterday. So there's some guys that I don't think that they got the fanfare of Marvin. And obviously Marvin had the 2 monster years in a row. But, Jackson was really good yesterday too. So I don't think it's like a slam dunk. Everyone says he's the greatest receiver in Ohio State history, and he probably statistically yeah. But is he the best receiver in the league right now from Ohio State? I don't know, because I mean Jackson Smith and Jigba look pretty good. He's probably going to be their number 2 now. And I mean he's not going to supplant DK, but he could supplant Tyler Lockett and be their number 2. And I still think, like, I'm still waiting for Garrett to explode with Rodgers, but they're very ball control and short passes and Breece Hall and Braylon Allen and. But again, I think Garrett in the right offense would shred the world, but it's my opinion. Nevada, what are your thoughts? Do you think JJ could be better than Marvin Harrison Jr.?
Yeah. I mean JJ is Julio Jones. JJ exactly. Is, I mean, that's who he is. So, I think the world of Marvin, but no, JJ's already, his stage in career, nobody even heard of Marvin. Marvin didn't do anything into the Rose Bowl that year. JJ's already tearing it up first game, so he's a different level.
Yeah, I mean, let's be real. JJ right now is the number one option on the best offense in the country. So, I don't even know what his path forward is going to be like the next 2 years, but I mean, our offense is going to run through JJ for the next 3 total years. So again, he is different as different can be. Chris Lane, thanks for the deuce. Got to go. Love y'all. Appreciate you, brother. Love you too. I hope you're doing good. Nevada OH. Appreciate you, my dude. D Sunny, thank you for the 5. We've had bad luck on some great combos. Which did we miss out on the most? Noah Spence, Joey Bosa, Nick Bosa, Chase Young, Marvin Jackson Smith in Jigba. I think by far it's Nick Bosa, Chase Young in 18. I really do. Because, I mean, that 18 team, we had offense for days, but, like, defensively, we just couldn't stop anybody. That was Shiano's year, and that was when we played Maryland and gave up, like, 400 yards rushing to the same play over and over again. Like, I think Nick Bosa, his junior year, would have been special. I mean, you see how good he is in the NFL. You saw how good he was as a rookie in the NFL as a number 2 pick when he didn't even play. Played, like, a game and a half, that TCU game, but I think the Nick Bosa, Chase Young thing, and Chase wasn't anywhere near what he was in 19 and 18, but, seeing what Nick could have done would have been special, because literally you'd have 2 defensive ends that were both second pick in the draft as your bookends, and that's terrifying. It's hard, like with Marvin, Jackson Smith, and Jigba, because, I don't feel like we really missed Jackson Smith and Jigba because we had Emeka, and so it's like it wasn't like everything fell off the earth when we lost Jackson Smith and Jigba. It sucked because Jackson obviously he's got an incredible NFL career and he's a great player, but Nick Bosa was arguably the best defensive end, if not defensive player in school history, and he missed his junior year. But I mean, he's as good as there is in the National Football League right now. So, what are your thoughts, Nevada? What did we miss out on the most? Noah Spence, Joey Bosa, Nick Bosa, Chase Young, Marvin Harrison, Jackson Smith, and Jigba.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Marvin Harrison, Jackson Smith, and Jigba, just because that would have been a certain national championship year, for sure. We'd have beat Georgia, for sure, guaranteed, no doubt. In 18, we had a lot of holes. I mean, and I'm not sure even having Nick Bosa there would have solved all the problems that we had on that team. But if JSN's upright, we beat Georgia and we win that national championship. But oh well, got to go get it this year.
That is a great point. Really good point. Manimus Prime Entertainment, thanks for the 5. I hope you're doing good, my man. Thanks for being an Ultra member as well. Our D-line might be the best in the country. Do you guys see any teams that look better up front? I don't. Or as deep. Georgia just looks decent to me. I think I'd take Ohio State, both sides of the ball. I mean, Texas, I like Texas's offensive line a lot. Obviously, with Arch going in there was no beat missed by how good their line is. But we're competitive, and I like our scheme, and I like everything that we do. So, D-line, there's no one deeper than us. Like, I'm sorry. I know everybody likes to stargaze and be obsessed with Georgia, but Broderick Jones was their best O-lineman that they've had in the last 4 or 5 years, and he got benched by the Steelers in the middle of the game for 3 penalties. So not all that glitters is gold when it comes to evaluating the vaunted 5-star guys, because a lot of these guys end up busting out. But I like our offense. I like our defense. I think our up front is as good as anybody when you combine the two of them, and I think our O-line's getting better. So again, like, you don't judge them by the first 2 weeks, judge them by the last 7 or 8 weeks, including the playoffs. Nevada, your thoughts? Our D-line might be the best in the country. Do you guys see any teams that look better up front? What are your thoughts, Nevada?
Well, I'm old enough to remember when Michigan's defensive line was considered the best in the country this year, and was going to terrorize everybody, and they were going to be the monsters of the Midway. So, no, I like our defensive line a lot, and what we may lack in like a true alpha, Joey Bosa, Chase Young type, man, we come in waves, and we're deep on both at the ends as well as the tackles, and no, I love our guys. I wouldn't trade defensive line rooms with anybody in the country.
Yeah, and again, it's amazing how things change, because again, going into the Georgia Tech game, Florida State was revered by Pete Thamel's illustrious NFL scout people as the greatest D-line in the country and loaded with talent, and they've been ran through 3. I mean, Memphis killed them up front. So things change fast. I mean, that's why it's better to kind of see how these things shake out after a month or two to see who's really real, as opposed to getting obsessed with some of the preseason stuff. Medicine Trucking, thank you for the 5. Hope you're good, my friend. Can any other teams easily replicate what New Orleans did to Dallas, and how hard would it be for Dallas to shore up its defense against that attack? Well, I mean, New Orleans' offense is incredible, and Alvin Kamara through 2 weeks is the MVP of the NFL. I mean, he's unbelievable so far. But, I think Dallas, they didn't look like they wanted to be there. I think that they got a lot of adulation for smashing Cleveland week 1, and I mean, they just weren't playing hard. I mean, again, I was watching those guys, and they wanted nothing to do with New Orleans' offensive line is very physical. Alvin Kamara is excellent. And again, Derek Carr, which again, this is why like the Raiders should hire me to run their program, because they threw Derek Carr out like the baby with the bathwater to get Jimmy Garoppolo and Gardner Minshew. And like Derek Carr is legit, and they've got a lot of weapons, but I just think it's an attitude thing with Dallas. I mean they played hard versus the Browns, and they just rolled the helmets out there versus the Saints. And in that league, you can't do that. This isn't college where, if Ohio State, there's nothing that Marshall can do to beat Ohio State on Saturday. Nothing. Short of Ohio State, not coming to the game or getting whooping cough or something, there's no chance. So I don't know, but New Orleans' offense is something to watch, because that OC is going to be a head coach next year. Watch. His name's Clint. I don't know if it's Clint Kubiak or what his name is, but I was watching those guys, man, and they got it schemed up. Like Kamara is the first pick in fantasy if you could redo all the fantasy drafts today. He's dominating at this point. Nevada, your thoughts. Can any other teams easily replicate what New Orleans did to Dallas, and how hard would it be for Dallas to shore up its defense versus that attack? What are your thoughts?
Well, no, I still think New Orleans is example A of what we talk about scheme. It's scheme
Yeah.
on this stuff, because you got the same players. You've got Derek Carr, who got run out of town in Las Vegas, and they're just running up and down the field on people, putting up 40 points a game. It's scheme, man, scheme for the win. And I agree with you. I think the OC in New Orleans is going to be a hot commodity. A lot of people are going to want to kind of replicate what he's doing, but you can just tell they're in perfect sync right now, and it's beautiful to watch.
And again, like, as much as we were bagging on Tom Brady, like his post-game interview when he's talking to Alvin Kamara, I mean, Alvin Kamara is like, this guy is really good. They talk about the new offensive coordinator. He's got a great plan. We believed in it. We executed it. And again, Dallas looked like world beaters week 1, but that's why I love the NFL, because I mean, that can happen. Like, there can be games where, you don't think it's going to be an absolute drubbing by the Saints when they go into Dallas and it's their home opener, but it sure was. It was nasty. Brandon J, thanks for the 10. Hey guys, I listen from Colorado every night, but my wife says you two have the most annoying voices ever. My world. I don't know. I think that's supposed to be your wife. I think WRLDE says you two have the most annoying voices.
I think
ever.
he's saying like my world, you guys have got the most annoying voices ever. I think I have a nice voice. I don't like to listen to my own voice. I like to listen to it, and I'm like, do I sound like that? But I mean, this is yours, Kirk. Your voice sounds very, very appropriate for you.
I'm trying to figure out what he's saying. It said, but my world says,
like
you
my
two
world,
have...
like I'd be like, Kirk, my world.
No, that's supposed to be what you're saying. It is like if you said my word, it's word, not world. Is what you're saying.
No, my world. People say that all the time. They'll be like, my world, Kirk. Could you put the milk back in the refrigerator? My world. I mean, that's kind of a thing.
See, I think the way you're saying that is supposed to be word, like WORD. Like my word, that was a stupid thing for you to say. I don't think it's my world. Now, again, I could be wrong. This is one of the ones where we're going to have to go. I'm going to have to look this up on Google when the show's over. But
you could be right. You could be right.
I know I'm right on that one, 'cause I've never heard my world before. So I'm thinking it's his wife. So, well, I hope she enjoys it. I mean, I'm glad that she gets to, do it. I mean, I like Colorado. It's cold out there. We used to go to Boulder all the time because that's where Kim's parents lived at. So, but if she thinks that our voices are annoying, the best antidote for that is if you're watching this on your TV on the YouTube app, the best thing to do is before we start is turn your volume up as loud as humanly possible, so that when we start, she can hear it right away and just be like, man, that's annoying.
Closed caption, man. Just go closed caption.
No, you can't do that.
Yeah,
Can't do
that way
that.
you get all the goodness.
Oh, Mike Greene.
My world. I'm sorry.
my world. Well, that's going to be on a T-shirt. We'll sell that one for sure.
I'm
My
going
world.
to put that as part of my lexicon. I'm going to try to work that into popular lexicon now. I'll be like, Nevada always is like, my world. Does he realize it's my word? My world.
My word. I love it. My world. Mike Greene, thanks for the 5. Hey, Naheem offered. Auburn has only a bag of money and a bag of chips. Come to the world, watches our practice. 80,000 plus. Yeah, I mean, again, some of these kids, I wish I could save them. Like, I wish that there was a way they could just give me their NIL money and I'll tell them where to go, as opposed to going to Auburn, or like Tarvis Alford went to Florida State this weekend. And I'm like, why? Like, could you imagine a worse official visit in this entire universe than going to Florida State this weekend? I mean, obviously, there's hot chicks everywhere. Kim went to Florida State, but outside of that, man, it is like, dude, they just lost their 3rd straight at home. They were probably 20. I mean, because nobody has worse sports fans in the entire world than the state of Florida. I mean, maybe Los Angeles is close, but Florida, man, I mean, when they start losing, they're just like, I'm going to go out and go bass fish. I'm going to go out and go saltwater fishing. I'm going to go out and lay at the pool, or I'm going to do something, but I'm not going to go to that Florida State game, because next week they'll probably have 10,000 people there, because this is how they are. Nevada, your thoughts on Naheem Alford? I mean, I hope we get him. If we don't, I think somehow we'll survive.
My world. I think that people are talking a lot about Naheem Alford, but I think we're in good shape with them. My world.
Nevada world. Tinker Bob. We got to bring back Tinker Bob, man. We're getting close. Beach Buck, thank you for the 5. The dream of scum trifecta is out. So the next best redemption lineup, mine is an SEC sweep. Mizzou, Texas, Georgia. Ooh, that would be tasty. Nevada, your thoughts on that?
So what does that mean? What exactly? And I'm not trying to be obtuse.
No.
Exactly
So his dream was like, somehow if we beat Michigan, then we play him in the Big Ten title, then we play him in the playoffs. We beat him 3 times in a season. Which again, I don't know if I'll live long enough for that one to ever happen. But his next, since that's out, since Michigan's not going to make the Big Ten title, we're not going to make the playoffs.
My world, yeah.
His next thing is Mizzou, Texas, Georgia, followed by your world.
I like that. And look, that could happen. That would be a lot of fun. Look, the 12-team playoff this year is going to be pretty interesting for sure. But I'm still not convinced. And I've said this before, but I'm gonna say it again. The number 5 spot could be overpowered, man. I'm telling you what, that could be a good spot to land. I don't think Ohio State's not going to land there, but that might be low key where you want to be on this thing, because you get a home game round 1, 5 versus 12, and then you get the 4 seed on a neutral site, and that's not bad. That's not bad pickings there, man. So it's going to be very interesting. But yeah, any of these games are going to be great. They're going to be some classic matchups in the playoff, and yeah, hopefully we play them in the shoe and don't play them in Indianapolis in a dome somewhere.
What if you could buy the stadium naming rights at Ohio Stadium and you could name it My World Stadium?
Would
you
do
do it?
I would totally do
that. People just be so annoyed by you. They'd be more. They hate us. They hate us even more than they already do. They changed the horseshoe to My World Stadium off of a joke.
They're like, why? They're like, why? Why? That doesn't even make any sense. Why is he doing that?
It's supposed to be word. Alley-oop ball is never going to get offered. They're not taking alley-oop ball.
He's never going to get offered. Yeah, no, I would do that just to troll people. Name it My World Stadium. That'd be awesome. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Good idea.
Brandon J is back. Thanks for the 5. Said, my wife. Sorry, guys. I don't care what she thinks. The show is good. Well, there you go. We'll tell her that we're going to send her. We're going to send her a tank top that says "My World" on it, and then you can put we'll put a Buckeye Scoop logo on it, and you'll say, you spawned the new catchphrase for Buckeye Scoop because he fat fingered it. Instead of saying my wife, he wrote my world. And then Nevada said, "Oh, that's a part of pop culture lexicon. My world."
Pop culture. I think it's
like,
a popular thing. It's like Southern, man. It's like
Southern.
Bless your heart. Bless your heart.
Bless your heart. My world.
My world.
Oh my God. Peak delirium at this point. All right, let's wrap this madness up so we can go watch Monday Night Football. My world. All right, Nevada, any final thoughts? You want to apologize to all of us for saying my world 75 times? Well, my world. You're going to be like Don Johnson and Django. You're going to be like Big Daddy, and you're going to say it like in that voice. Big Daddy and Django. The greatest.
Django's, he's a free man.
I don't give a tinker's damn. Oh my God, it's the greatest movie ever.
Oh no. Wow. Yeah, lots of goodness. Tomorrow we'll get back to Ohio State, but today was just a great Michigan show. Thank you guys all for being here, and we'll see you tomorrow. My world, we'll see you tomorrow night.
Thank you for being a part of Nevada's world.
My world. My world.
Oh my God, get me out of here, please. Love of God. I cut him off. He's gone. Oh, I appreciate you guys so much. Thank you for another awesome night. Thank you for the great super chats. This is going to Pay It Forward Fund. We have a great crew. Again, I just appreciate all you guys do. This show is always a cut up. It's always hilarious, and I just appreciate you guys spending time with us. If you guys enjoy this content, please leave us a like, click subscribe. Also, click that little alert bell. Again, really appreciate you guys being on here. It's a huge show because you guys make it one. You guys have built this brand into an absolute Goliath at this point. So we appreciate you guys. So again, if you enjoy this content, please leave us a like, click subscribe. Also click that little alert bell. If you want to do something amazing, spread the word on our audio format, Apple Podcasts, search Buckeye Scoop, click subscribe, and you will be my new heroes because we are growing the audio format really quickly. Trying to get it to catch up to the YouTube. And again, I just appreciate all that you guys do. So with that being said, it's time to watch some Monday Night Football. I hope you guys have a great rest of your night. Thank you so much, Buckeye Nation. And thank you to the Scoop family. Thank you to all of our regulars as always. Hope you guys have a great night. I'll see you guys tomorrow at 7 p.m. Go Bucks.